live.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want to be live
It's
because
on.
fuck everything. Because
I want to die.
all right, so this is what happened to me. Windows 10.
Live,
Hello, ladies and
live,
gentlemen. Yeah,
on screen.
God. Windows 10.
Fuck me.
Yeah, I'm going to use this. See this? I'm going to hang myself off that. It's that bad. Right?
This. I
No,
should have
listen,
recorded
hang
all
on.
of this.
No,
and
no, 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 no. It's terrible, but maybe you should have done.
This is by far the most horrendous setup for
Okay.
Hotfix.
Everything works, right? No, it doesn't,
No.
because my TeamSpeak no longer works on Windows 10 now. It does, but it sounds like this whenever anyone talks. It's the worst thing you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah, it's
Why
not
is
good.
this? We don't know. So we tried to fix it, didn't work. But that's fine, because Kiri is recording me via TeamSpeak. I'm listening to him via Skype, because obviously Skype works, but Skype is horrendous quality, but it isn't crackly, poppily wanker quality. It just picks up loads of background noise. That's not even there. We don't know why. But then it gets even better. Mr. Kirioth, I am watching Mr. Kirioth through his old webcam. Yeah, he is using his new webcam. So you guys are seeing his new webcam because he's saving that in OBS, right? He can't use his new webcam, which is the webcam I'm using, and I look fine when I'm streaming to him over Skype, because when he streams to me, the preview Skype gives him of himself is horrendous, piss poor quality.
It's like it's being beamed from 1998. It is so. It's like it's pixelated as hell, but you can clearly see, right? Actually, watching this, it's like my webcam quality is vastly superior to what it was before. Unless I try and put it through Skype, in which case it just shits itself and doesn't work. So now I've got two webcams pointing at me, and we can do a bit of webcamception, actually. So Sty, this is going to look really odd to Sty, but it's not going to look odd to you. So the webcams, look. So that Sty is looking at me through that webcam, so he can now see my webcam being recorded for Hotfix, and you can see the webcam that he is looking at me through, except he's not at the moment. What a terrible setup. Also, it's worth pointing out that because both of those webcams are Logitech, and Logitech's webcams all use exactly the same software, if I attempt to alter any settings in the middle of Hotfix, say if the white balance suddenly goes or something collapses, it will crash OBS and we'll lose this. So if anything goes wrong, you're just going to have to fucking deal with it, like we've been dealing with it for the last goddamn hour of our lives. So enjoy that.
I can't handle it. Anyway, I've got some shout-outs to do for people who supported us on Patreon, then you can do your little jig. So, the new patrons we have got. Cynical Toaster, thanks for the support. Jack Hoffman. Isn't there an actor called Hoffman?
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Wasn't he out of Speed?
Yes.
And he was the crazy bomber guy. Anyway,
yeah,
thanks,
he was,
Jack.
yeah.
And Andy as well. Androcrus, I can't say that name, but thanks for the support. It's fantastic. And how do they support us, Mr. Kirioth? And why should they support us?
Through Patreon, which you can find a linky to. Oh no, hang on. Oh shit, it's the wrong way. It's the other way around. Is my webcam mirrored now? Because usually I point like that.
Put your
but
right
it
hand
didn't
up.
work. My
Put your
right
right
hand.
Okay, that looks left to me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that. Wait,
That's mirrored.
What? It's mirrored.
Yeah.
It is mirrored.
Yeah, because I can read GT Racer behind your head.
Yeah, it's the wrong way around. Fuck, I'm not fixing it now. I'm not touching anything. But the Patreon thing... No, fucking hell. The Patreon thing is up there, which you can click, and it is down...
Big
there.
box, little box, small box, fish.
It's down there as well. And if you click that, you can go to the Hotfix Patreon. And if you like Hotfix, if you love Hotfix, you
I
can
don't want to
support
be here
us.
today. I don't want to be here today. I want to go home.
I'm already home and I still want to go home.
I should never have got out of bed. I just stayed there and accepted defeat.
This is going to be... look, this is going to be rough, lads. So just hang on till the end.
Ladies.
The end may come sooner than you think.
What's first, Mr. Kirioth? Get me
We
out
haven't
of this
actually even said
hellhole.
what it is. So it's Hotfix, which is our video game discussion podcast.
Let me do it. Let me do it.
It's go on, son. It's laser focused.
I think I hit my fan. Yes.
Yep. And it's all about video games and stuff and things. And
I've always called them games, you know. It's a game.
I know.
To me. It's
I
not
don't
a
know
video
why.
game. I don't get that. It's like very Americanized.
The only reason I started saying video
It's
games
because of
is just
tags
because...
in YouTube descriptions. I bet you that's why. Because if you
it
type
is.
gaming,
Yeah, it doesn't know what you're talking about. So last week we started out with World of Warcraft. Now, when we recorded last week's Hotfix, it was before the information for the new expansion had been released, which we told you repeatedly and even put it in the description, and someone still said, why is there no info about the new expansion? Because we fucking recorded it before the thing was out. However, information has been released now. You know you are, you little bastard. So,
I made a video, and it tells you everything about the bloody expansion you need to know.
So you should go and watch that, but we should also probably talk about it a little bit. So, as you can see, Blizzard's huge World of Warcraft Legion expansion hits beta this year. So, essentially, no, not essentially. Fuck you, I'm not doing it. I'm going to concentrate hard here. No repetitions of meaningless words. World of Warcraft it's in the poo drain. It is down the shite hole. It is struggling. For an MMO of its size, it's not doing well with its 5.6 million subs down from 10 million. So Legion has been
performing
announced.
as admirably as a infected, distended rectal prolapse. See, I've been watching Red Dwarf, and it has a lot of that in it. Anyway, yes, carry on. I'm sorry, Mr. Kirioth.
So Blizzard have taken steps to prevent their game from collapsing into the bowels of the earth by announcing Legion, which is, well, the new expansion, which is kind of announced sooner than you'd expect a new expansion to be announced. But they've got to, because Warlords of Draenor was, well, terrible for the game. Legion will introduce a new max player level, so up to 110, and that's from 100, which is at the moment. You will be able to search for the Tomb of Sargeras, which I always mispronounce. Sargeras? Sargeras?
Sargeras, that's what I've always said.
Sargeras, yeah.
Yeah.
And you will be able to be a all-new demon hunter, which means you'll be able to turn into a powerful demonic type chap. There will be a class order system. There will also be, what are they called? They're not legendary weapons. I always want to say legendary for artifact weapons, that's it.
Yeah.
So each class will get their own weapon, effectively, and you can skin it and make it look how you like.
Stop saying effectively.
Did I say effectively instead? I've
effectively is the same as essentially. Please stop.
I want to stop. I want to stop. I just want to stop it right now.
Stop living. You're supposed to end it all.
And lie down and just in a darkened room.
Go to a special place.
Just retreat. Just retreat into a nice, small, cozy area and never see the light of day again. What do you reckon, Bob? What do you reckon of this expansion?
All right, so
because to me, it's like the fix-it expansion.
Yeah, it is. It is. What we've got is, if we look at the features, right? So we look at Demon Hunter. Yeah. Now this is like, in fact, this kind of does tie into a news thing we've got a bit later on with the potential for a World of Warcraft a Warcraft 4 RTS game, because every major point in Warcraft's history, World of Warcraft's history, has revolved around the RTS game. They've all been storylines that came from the RTS game. Now, Warcraft 3 and Warcraft 2, but mainly Warcraft 3 is where most of the lore from World of Warcraft comes from. It is the best single-player RTS game. It's also a really good multiplayer RTS, but single-player, it's by far the best. It's got the best story. Like, every mission, something major happens. It's like really good storytelling throughout the whole. It's the best game Blizzard's ever done for storytelling. Like, so with World of Warcraft, you get given the chance to take out these people from the RTS. So you've got like Illidan, yeah, the Burning Crusade. Have you played Warcraft 3?
I have. I didn't.
The
finish
Frozen
it, though,
Throne,
I have to admit.
Right. Well, the Frozen Throne. You're after Illidan and the Lich King and all of that shit. They're all major characters like in the game, and you chase them down, and you're like responsible for them. You play as them, and it's totally ridiculous. So for you to actually get to the point of going into Black Temple and fucking murdering Illidan and his Illidari mental demon hunters, that's beautiful. For you to get to the point of going in and massacring the Lich King, because the way the Lich King fight goes is the Lich King's solid, bloke. The Lich King, nobody can kill the Lich King. When you beat him in World of Warcraft, he kills you. He just kills you. He's like, oh, I've had enough of this. He just kills your whole raid. But he makes Tyrion watch while he's doing this, but he doesn't take into account that Ashbringer is going to murder him. And then it murders him. I'm pretty sure this is the way it goes. And Ashbringer wastes the Lich King, and then that's it. Whereas if the Lich King had just murdered Tyrion straight away, like he could have done, then he would have won, because he's like so massively powerful. And it's like, okay, whatever. But then where does it go? Well, then it goes to Cataclysm, which they introduced Deathwing, who's not a completely unknown entity, but he's a bit shit. He's nothing to do with the RTS game. And let's go to Pandaland, which is a very, very minimal connection to the RTS in like a random panda who appears at the end of the game, essentially, right? That is it, right? And it's like, okay. And then we go to Warlords of Draenor, where it's like, okay, we're going to go back to all these characters from the RTS, but we're just not going to bother developing the story. Because apparently we don't have a clue. And then now, because they're bleeding subs and they're really suffering from it, it's like, what do we do? Well, let's bring Illidan back because he worked really well. Burning Legion, they are the enemy and they always have been the enemy. But the Burning Legion is, for me to put this into like perspective, they are an endless army. They are unbeatable. They are an army which will kill you. They have unlimited resources, unlimited troops. They are going to fuck you up. They are solid, yeah? So, yet again, we're going into this expansion with, oh god, Azeroth is under attack, or oh god, we need to attack somewhere. And I've read some interesting posts off people on places like Reddit and the WoW forums and stuff, where they were talking about, if you look at Mr. Pandaria, yeah, when you go there, you've got, I forget what they're called because I never played that expansion, but you've got like these ghost entities, like these Shars, I think they're called, or something. They're like bad energy, and then you've got these mantid things, and it's like, oh, they're supposedly really terrible and dangerous, but the Alliance and the Horde just roll up and butcher them. It's like, well, we're so solid, we've killed them. There's no threat there, you know? We've gone to Draenor, and we've just butchered the Iron Horde. In fact, they were saying the Iron Horde was just no threat at all. Like, they just got butchered. It was like, okay, well, who's next? The Legion, though, and they've said this will be the biggest invasion of Azeroth ever. The Legion should be attacking every city, and there was a guy who made a very interesting post, and he said what they should do is have Legion, it's like I've got a Legion doctor, Legion invasions everywhere, right, all over the place, and the only safe place is Dalaran. Like, all the cities have fallen, because is what would happen. And they were like, the expansion should be, you're in Dalaran and you're just launching, like, you know, little sorties out to try and attack things, because you have to be very, you know, precision, clinical with your strikes, because you cannot fight the Legion because they've got endless troops. And let me carry on with my crazy rant, yeah? Artifact weapons. Now, here's another thing. Wow, great on the face of it. Let's all run around with Ashbringers because we're all paladins. Let's get Doomhammer because we're all shamans. Let's get weapons that are made from Frostmourn's fragments for Death Knights. Everybody will have these weapons. Like, everybody. Like, weapons do not drop as loot in this expansion. You get your artifact weapon, and that is it. You've got your artifact weapon. That's the weapon you're going to use until the next expansion comes out, and probably into that expansion as well. Now, there's a couple of problems with this. The first one is everybody's got the same weapon. Now, is that much of a problem? Because everybody always has the same weapon anyway. You know, like the best raid weapon for a prot warrior is going to be the same one every prot warrior's got, because that's what they're working up to. So I don't think that's too bad. The biggest issue is the weapon model. If they do not have enough skins for these weapons, it will look really shit. Like, everybody, because with the weapon models they showed, you had like a, well, I'll talk about Ashbringer. So you had like a flame Ashbringer, you had like a lightning electrified Ashbringer, then you had like a demonic Ashbringer, then you had a holy one, and then you had the standard one. So the standard one looked totally shit. The holy one is the upgraded of the standard one you get through basically leveling from 100 to 110. And then after that, they were various rewards, so, you know, for doing certain raids and stuff like that. But the demonic one was a PvP only one, and that looked pretty good. And it's like, oh, okay, that's PvP only. But if you look at the fire and the lightning one, probably the fire one is going to be everywhere, because it looks pretty good. You know,
way
and
better
it's like,
than the alternative.
There's some. I mean, Ashbringer maybe wasn't the best example. Like Doomhammer, there's some versions of Doomhammer which look way better than the other one, and all these other weapons. And then that gets me into another thing about these weapons. We all know what Ashbringer is. We all know what Doomhammer is, but oh god, we need a survival hunter weapon. So there's these new Tauren in High Mountain on the Broken Isles. You get one of their sacred artifacts. Nobody's ever heard of. It's hardly the same as Ashbringer, is it, bloke? You know what I'm saying? Or Doomhammer, or fucking. It's weak. You're getting shafted.
You need to have like an iconic thing for each class, and for some classes that doesn't really seem to exist. I mean,
a mage sword. They've got a mage sword. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, from Kael'thas, isn't it? Kael'thas is that.
Which is his sword, okay, but it's never mentioned, but it's like, oh yeah, this is the mage. That
I did see some people say, well, of course, if you've read the books, then you'll know that he's got the sword. And I was like, I've never read the books, so to me, that's just like a non-thing. Like, I don't care about that.
It doesn't even compare on the same scale to like an Ashbringer, or like a Frostmourne. These things are like integral to the game's lore. Yeah, it's not something that just pulled out their arse and some random obscure reference from a book.
It's like Gorehowl.
Well, I don't think Gorehowl is a thing. They said for warriors, it is for tank warriors, it's a sword and a shield made from Netherian's dragon scale. So that's Deathwing. What's that got to do with anything?
But yeah, that's not
That's not
specifically.
like a super warrior's weapon.
You don't think warrior when you hear
no,
that.
you do think Gorehell, don't you? But obviously that
Yeah.
wouldn't work for tanking. But
Yeah.
you can get Gorehell. You see, this is the thing. You can already get that. Well, you can get Ashbringer as well. So I don't know. But all you're going to see is everybody's going to be running around with their artifact weapons. Going on to the other things that they've got.
There
like
is,
when
although,
well, go on.
Isn't there the transmog system though? They're lifting the transmog system
Yeah,
from Diablo and applying it to WoW, so you can
basically,
transmog the weapons if you want to.
Yeah, you can like change them into anything you like.
Yeah.
And when you say lifting it from Diablo, they are kind of. So you know, like in Diablo, when you loot something, you get its transmog, don't you?
Yeah.
And you can apply it to anything. It's going to be like that. I don't know what the implementation is going to be, whether you can just do it on the fly.
I say lifting it from Diablo, that's not really fair. There's plenty of games that have done that before, but it was just...
Well, World of Warcraft had it before Diablo, I think.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very... Like, it's a shit system. You had to run back to Orgrimmar and talk to that ethereal guy and all that. I don't know whether it's going to be easy to do it or what. I don't know. But the point you made at the start of this piece with this kind of the expansion to fix things, yeah. I mean, I've seen a really funny post on the WoW Reddit, and it just said, in case of emergencies, break crystal. And the crystal was Illidan in the green crystal, because Illidan, like, apparently his broken body was sent to this horrendous prison, and I'm just forgetting the name of all of the bloody lore characters. The Warlock man, Gul'dan, rips him out of it. But it's kind of funny, because you know, like in the Burning Crusade trailer, where you see Illidan, he goes, "You are not prepared," and all that shit.
Yeah.
He's got Gul'dan's skull in his hand and chucks it on the ground. That's what that is, because it's a super artifact. It's so stupid. But yeah, so
for me,
well, hang on. You've got like PvP. They're going to fix PvP. Yeah. Now this looks interesting to me, and this is quite interesting to me. Probably of most of the changes I've seen. They're going to get rid of the current PvP system. So like the honor system, where you kill, you get points, you get tokens, you buy better armor, you become better in PvP. Now, PvP is like its separate thing. Like armor and that, it doesn't matter. It's more of like a level playing field. It's kind of more like Guild Wars 2, because if you go into PvP in Guild Wars 2, you get given the same armor as everybody else.
Yeah.
You're the same. You don't get like a mental advantage, like, oh god, I can one-shot you because I'm solid, which you do get in WoW, which is annoying. So it makes it a level playing field. There are things that do change it up a bit. So you get talents when you play PvP that are PvP specific, and they change some of your PvE spells to PvP spells, but only when you're in PvP. But it looks like, from what they said, that's not going to take very long to unlock them. But once you get to the max like talent unlock thing, you can reset your PvP level like you can with Call of Duty, or you know, like Space Marine. Last Stand. When you get to the maximum level, you can take the service badge Kaya stamp thing in your head, and it puts you back to level 1 again, which I did like an idiot and lost all my gear.
Just gives you a little icon, and then you've got no gear, but you have.
It's prestige. Yeah. It's the Call of Duty prestige thing. It's like, look, I'm so good. I went back down to the scrub level again to come back. It lets you do that, right? So that's going to give hardcore PvP people a reason to keep doing it, which I think is good.
Yeah.
And then they're going to give you rewards. So weapon skins was a reward, you know, for your artifact weapon, mounts and stuff like that. So that seemed pretty good to me. Also, as well, garrisons are not a thing anymore.
As far as I know, they're still in the game, aren't they? But they're like kind of irrelevant.
They're irrelevant, yeah.
You've got Dalaran as the hub, and then you've got your class, like your class hall or whatever it's called, where you and everyone else of your class can go, and there's class missions and stuff, and that actually looks kind of nice. I quite liked that. I mean, it's still not like for years people have talked about player housing or guild housing or guild garrisons, that kind of thing, and it's never happened. And admittedly, this still isn't that, but it kind of makes sense that there would be this is the other thing as well. Like, it makes sense that there would be a place on Azeroth where all the members of a certain class could go, because for all of the different wars and fights and all the horrendous things that have happened, the fairly standard constant is that at some point Azeroth is going to get absolutely annihilated by some arsehole with a power complex and, in fact, the ability to wipe it out whenever they feel like, at which point everyone has to go, maybe we should stop fighting the Alliance and actually sort this guy out because he's about to ruin us. I kind of like the idea that there's an actual kind of acknowledgement that, yeah, you kind of do... you might not have been working together, but all the same, both sides have had to fight the same enemies at multiple points during the history
Their
of the
lore
world,
reason for this is the Horde and the Alliance, I just cannot deal with each other anymore. They've backstabbed each other too much. So it's like, where's the connection to be made? Well, it's through classes. So Are they moving away from the Horde and Alliance classification, and now it's just a class thing? It's like, well, I'm a paladin, so I'm in the Paladin Sanctuary under Light's Hope Chapel, which is like, okay, fair enough. What they're going to do with well, what I was going to say, I was going to interrupt you, but then I never did. When I went back and played EverQuest 2 last week, I totally forgot that had housing in, and it had housing in from launch. That did, and the way that did housing was the cities they were bigger than in World of Warcraft, right? So there were whole areas of the city which was like a suburb, right? The first place you got to live was an inn, right? So it was just a cheap inn room, and that was it. Everybody went to the same door, so it looked a bit silly. You all run to the same door, and that was your inn sort of thing. You had to pay a rent fee for it, but beyond that, it didn't do anything. You could just put furniture in there, but there was loads of furniture, and there were like trophies you could get for killing certain raid mobs that you could put in your house. Now, of course, the house it wasn't like a garrison where it was giving you loads of money and loads of resources and loads of rewards and everything. No, it was just a place where that was your house, you know what I mean? And you could buy progressively more expensive ones, and some were really expensive, like palatial buildings that had like tons of rooms and stairs. Much better system than the garrison, because it's just a purely cosmetic thing. And if you want to play an MMO and get loads of money, or you're a really power gamer to some extent, it was a mark of your worth to say that's my house over there. I live on this street. I don't live in the inn. I've got a massive house. It really shocked me because I totally forgot that was in EverQuest. And when I started thinking about what WoW did with the garrisons, I can understand why they did it, because they wanted to make you use the garrison, but it just totally took the social aspect out of the game. I don't think your friends could even go with you into your garrison. You couldn't EverQuest. You could go and look into other people's houses. You could right-click on the door, right? And it would be a list of everyone who lives there. And you could click and go in, and then you could view the house, like view all the splendor of the house, which were all decorated differently because everyone did it differently. Hell, even the trade skills could make furniture for your house. What the fuck? Anyway, what was I going to say? I was going to say something, and then I went into that rant. Oh yeah, these class halls. So what they're going to do is the garrison no longer applies, because it does for warlords stuff, but obviously that's just irrelevant now. In your class hall, this is where you reforge your artifact weapon. Yeah, so this is where you apply the upgrades to it, I think. There are specific class quests in there, and you do have followers, yeah? But it isn't like 20 or 30 followers like you had from your garrison. It's like 2 or 3 or 4, and they're like super champions. They said, think of this like the Knights of the Round Table. They're not like wankers, these guys. They're like super, because they're saying the whole point of the Legion is the Legion's just got infinite troops. Like a Warhammer comparison, it's just like the Tyranids coming for you. There's just loads of them. They're all nameless, but they're just going to kill you. So what you need are people who are really solid, like actual heroes. But this is the big thing: they don't go out and just complete missions and come back to you with money and armor and whatever. What they do is they go out and then they come back to you and say, oh, we found a monster in this cave somewhere in Azeroth. You should go and kill it. So you have to go and kill it. Yeah. It's such a simple change, but it's much better. Because that means now you've got daily quests when you log in, but you don't know what they're going to be. It could be go to somewhere in anywhere, Taran Mill, and kill a guy, or go and find this somewhere, or go and do that. That's much better. That is way better than how they did before. Because all you did is just clicked on people and matched them to where they want. It was shit.
It was just crap. And the thing
but that's it. But honestly, that is basically it, right? This isn't an expansion which is like you blow your mind. No, it's just like
it is the fix-it expansion. The game. It's because the thing is, I still maintain that actually Warlords of Draenor was a good idea.
I think it was, yeah.
I think if they'd executed it properly, it would have been a really good thing. But they seem to have this horrendous fear of ever moving the story forward. Arguably the two biggest things that they did were during Burning Crusade and Wrath, and then from that point on, it was like we've progressed the story. Oh shit, we've run out of story. What do we do? And Cataclysm was like, Deathwing actually, he's not a bad enemy as big bad bosses go, but the way he was introduced was poor. So the way that he then disappeared again made little to no difference. Because
people got angry with this. So hang on. The way Deathwing was killed is you didn't actually kill him. You just helped Thrall, and Thrall killed him.
Yeah.
So people get pissed with that because they're not actually delivering the killing blow. Like the Lich King was the same.
But the thing is, I think you can get away with that, but I don't think you can do it twice in a row, because that's essentially two expansions where the big bad of that expansion, the players don't get to sort the problem. It's like,
well, Thrall is the thing. Why
with Lich King, it makes sense as well, though, because it's like you know that Lich King is solid. You know that the Lich King just couldn't wipe anybody out. And so when you get wiped, it's like, oh my god, he's completely solid. When you go into the next expansion and then the next big bad that you fight does exactly the same thing, it's like, well, we've already had this. Like we've done this before. We've already had this fight where we can't win it, so someone else has to finish it. Like for some things, I think it's okay. I think for the Lich King, it's not too bad. But to then introduce another like more unknown boss or one that's not quite as well known and well loved, and then do exactly the same, it's like, well, and in fact, they do the same thing with Garrosh. You didn't kill Garrosh either, did you?
No, Thrall killed him. Yeah, Thrall killed Garrosh.
And it's just
you've got this like their big issue is they made these characters with Warcraft 3, yeah, and they were massively developed characters. I mean, you play that game and you are literally, when things happen, you're like, I don't believe that just happened. What the hell? Characters will die, and it's like, what the hell? But in Warcraft, in WoW, they don't. It's like they don't want to kill anyone. Thrall is. Why isn't he dead? Like, I know this is a crazy thing to say, but why isn't he dead? He doesn't really do anything anymore. Thrall. He's been used as the main guy in like almost every fucking expansion, basically.
Yeah.
Why Legion should open with Thrall getting fucking murdered? Then it'd be like, yeah. But what the problem is, they haven't actually spent enough time through World of Warcraft developing any major characters. Because think about what you do in WoW, right? You're running around the world completing quests for loads of like characters and loads of people that you don't care. They've got no lore. You just don't care about them. The only people, like even like the Alliance guy, Varian, whatever his name is, even he's a bit shit.
Yeah.
If you want the truth, I think he's shit.
It's shit.
But like you've got like. You're running around the game. Well, hang on. You're running around the game. You're doing all these quests for like pointless NPCs and whatever. It's great, right? But the only time anything major happens in WoW is when you get to the end of an expansion, right? And that's generally you kill somebody, yeah, who is some sort of baddie, right? Who's basically come to blow the world up, or he's got a big army. It's the same thing every time. But now they're at the point where they're just going back to old characters who you have killed. Like, why is Illidan coming back? You have killed Illidan in Black Temple. Their answer for this is, well, if you roll a demon hunter, so you can only be a blood elf or a night elf for a demon hunter, yeah? You can't just be anybody, because that's not how it works. They have to be elves, yeah? And generally night elves. Blood elves were quite rare. He sends some of his best Illidari on a suicide mission to the fucking some mental prison planet or something mental, right? And then he gets killed by us, yeah? We turn up and kill him in Burning Crusade. But the guys he sent back in time, or wherever the hell they've gone, have been captured and put in prison. But actually, Illidan isn't dead because his body was taken away and chucked into this prison as well. So Gul'dan releases him from the prison, and we don't know what the story's going to be, but he's like obviously going to work for the Alliance and the Horde because he's like he kills demons. That's what he does. That's why demon hunters are here, because the Legion are coming. And like the Legion are like the ultimate enemy in World of Warcraft. They are like Sargeras, the evil titan. The Titans created the universe, and this is his army. Where do you even go from that? Like, how are they going to resolve this? You're not going to be killing... Sargeras is dead, or is he dead? Well, probably not, because he's a fucking titan, and he's probably going to come back. But you're going to kill him at the end of the expansion? He's like a god beyond gods. He's like...
I think this is
you know what I mean? It's just like, oh...
I think, in a way, World of Warcraft suffers from the same problem that Warhammer does. You know, I really think they have the same problem, which is that when you fill your world, like fill your universe with nothing but the most powerful beings to ever exist, there's only two ways that it could possibly go. Either one of the most powerful beings gets killed, or they survive and they can't do anything unless it's at a pivotal point. That's why players are like going around doing these meaningless quests for non-NPCs, because if Thrall turned up at the start, Thrall is like, he's effectively a Primarch, if you want to draw that equivalency. You can't just turn up and just be like, yeah, go and do this, go and kill 10 rats. It's not going to make any sense whatsoever, because the power scales. But once you get to the end of that scale, the main problem with World of Warcraft for me is that when you're talking about how there's no character development, the story isn't very good, it's precisely because everyone is so powerful. Like, everyone is ridiculously powerful. And it means that you kind of get to a point where only the most powerful things can kill the other most powerful things. So the players, strong as they are still being put in a position where, like, they're not going to kill the Lich King. They're just not going to do it, so someone else has got to do it. But it's only something that's ridiculously powerful can do that either. And once you've
their
actually
way
got
of
to that
showing
point,
that is to say, oh, look, you've got to the end of the game. Oh, here's Thrall. He's just going to murder it for you. Sorry. And walks off. And it's like, oh, okay, well, I get Thrall's harder than us, but that's a bit cheap. That's what they do.
Then that also means that they can't develop it any further, because once you get to a certain level of power, then there's not really anything you can do except make it so that people are inactive, so they don't fuck up the story completely. I mean, when people constantly say things about 40k, like, oh, why aren't the Primarchs there? Well, because one Primarch could wipe out like 1,000 Space Marines. That's why it's not there, because the Imperium would not be under siege from every side if we still had all the loyal Primarchs active, because they would fuck everybody up, and the Imperium would be a roaring success. That's why they're not there. And it's the same thing with World of Warcraft.
And the same with the Chaos Primarchs as well. If they just turned up, it would be bad news.
Yeah,
it's exactly the same thing, yeah.
You can't have the heroes doing this stuff, but at some point they need to be brought in, because you need to bring, like, powerful enemies to, like, their story to a close, but you can only do it by killing them. That's the problem. It's like when, like, they're bringing Illidan back, but you're right, it's like, why have they brought him back? He was dead. It's like, oh no, he actually wasn't dead. But they've done that because you have to kill off the powerful enemies to advance the story, but by killing off the most powerful beings in the story, you're left with a vacuum where you either have to ram something in real quick or bring someone back from something that they shouldn't come back from.
The vacuum shouldn't be there in the first place, because there's no preparation leading up to it.
Yeah.
With Warcraft 3, you've got all this preparation. All these enemies, like, okay, some of them are massively powerful, but not all of them. Like, even the Lich King, he is powerful, but he's not on the same scale as a fucking Titan that has created the universe. You know what I mean? The Lich King was powerful, but he wasn't powerful enough to launch a fucking invasion of Azeroth and win. He tried, and he got beat back, and then we invaded Northrend, and then there's a whole load of shit going on there. Him himself, he's very powerful, but he couldn't take them on the battlefield because his army wasn't big enough. He was trying to build his army up, right? So enemies like that, to me, are more believable, because they're not these like insanely godlike powerful guys who can just do whatever they like. And because the question always to me is, why haven't they just turned up and killed us? Like, why haven't they just smashed us?
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of Sargeras invading the Azeroth with the Burning Legion? Or, well, Gul'dan opening the portal so that the Burning Legion could come steaming through, when he could probably just kick the planet and it'd explode.
Yeah.
What's the point? It's like, oh, well, he wants to do it because, like, they've actually got a nice video clip of a planet, because Sargeras captured all the demons, in the known universe and put them in prison on this planet. And then when he went crazy, he thought, it'd be funny to open the prison, wouldn't it? So that's where his army comes from. So he's just got this unlimited demon army. But the planet looks crazy. But again, that's kind of cheesy lore. But going back to what I just said, and what you just said, without this development of characters and enemies and whatever, throughout the life of World of Warcraft, they got to a point where they extinguished everything they had from Warcraft 3. Yeah. And that has happened like 3 expansions ago. Basically with Cataclysm, that's when they fucked it. And it was like, we've now got to make our own story, which really shouldn't be that difficult, because they have been, for the last 10 years or so, building these characters up. And, Thrall and everybody else, Jaina and God knows what, that these characters have been changing, haven't they, through the history of the game, through WoW. So why haven't they been evolved to a point where, why isn't Thrall? I mean, hell, I'd play an expansion if Thrall just went mad, and you had to put him down. That'd be funny. He's just gone crazy, and he's just. But
this is
the
thing as well.
With Garrosh, it's like, well,
this is one of the big problems with, I think, MMOs as a whole, and I don't think it's just reserved to World of Warcraft. Although it's a very good example, because they had such established lore, and then they used up what they had.
Yeah, now they're scraping.
They used it too quickly, but. And people are going to disagree with me, but I don't care. MMOs they're not a good medium for telling a story.
No.
I'm just going to say it. They're just not.
Although I've got to say something about this. I haven't played Final Fantasy 14, the Realm Reborn thing. I think it's 14, I'm not sure, but it's the MMO. Yeah. That is apparently really good. Like, does a really good job of storytelling, even to the point where it forces you to watch like loads of cutscenes and everything. And all kinds of stuff.
I'd actually be
it tells you a
story
story,
because generally speaking, MMOs
and it's
just
pretty
do not
close
have...
to WoW in terms of sub numbers.
Yeah, that's
got over 5 million, impressive. I think, subs.
Yeah, but it's like you can't have, and this is the big kind of paradox that kind of revolves around all MMOs. you are the hero, and
so is
from
everybody
nothing,
else. Yeah.
but so is everyone else. And when you've got like an entire world full of heroes who've come up from nothing to be so powerful they can take on some of the most powerful beings in the universe, you kind of have to make them not be that good. Which means, of course, you've got to bring in people like Thrall, you've got to bring in people like Garrosh and Vol'jin and all the other heroes, and you've got to have these exceptional characters who are exceptional even compared to the literally millions of other exceptional characters who are there to essentially carry the story forward.
Yeah.
And you cannot combine that with a decent narrative, generally I mean, I'm saying generally speaking because I've not played Final Fantasy, but I'd be interested to see what that's like. But yeah, I think that's one of World of Warcraft's big problems. It's like they are now at a point where all of their established lore is gone, and they've either got to revisit it or they've got to reimagine it. Now, they tried to reimagine it with Warlords of Draenor, but they fucked it up. And that's obviously a bad thing, because it might steer them away from doing something that kind of, I guess, that brave again, because it is a big step to take in that kind of franchise. And in fairness, when Deathwing kind of went through Azeroth and started wrecking stuff, that was quite a big step as well. Admittedly, I think the scale of the destruction was too small. I know a lot of stuff was changed, and it was like, oh my god. But also, a lot of the time, you can go around and go, oh yeah, this looks very much like it did before, except now it's got a massive trench carved through it. You know, it wasn't that shocking.
Yeah. If you look at the WoW expansions, what they've done, right? So you had obviously World of Warcraft launches, okay, whatever. Burning Crusade comes out. It was, let's go to a different planet. That sounds ridiculous, right? But that's what happened in Warcraft 3. That you went to Outland, to chase Illidan down. So you go. It's okay. This is still making sense. And what happens at the end? You kill Illidan. You know, why did you go there in Warcraft 3? To chase Illidan down. You know, it's like, it's very similar. It's like, okay, so it had a point. Then you've got Wrath of the Lich King, which again isn't, we're going to chase down the Lich King and finally kill him because you know where he is. You've played as the Lich King and you're going to go, let's go and finish him off before he kills us with an undead plague. Okay. And then you've got Deathwing, right? Which is just like, But what I think we'll do is, because we've been going for a few years now, we'll redesign the lower leveling process, because I think people are getting bored. Really, they should have just left it and piled on more high-end content. That's what they should have done, because whatever. But anyway, they went for that. Like you said, the destruction wasn't really that severe. It was just an excuse to change up zones and make them a bit more modern, make them flow a bit better. Great. Yeah. Have just basically a shit big dragon as the boss. And then you go to Mr. Pandaria, which is, I guess you could say, fan service to a point. Everyone's always going on about the Pandaren, but it was almost really, like a joke.
Yeah,
you know? It's like
people. Something that gets me is we follow quite a few people who play World of Warcraft on Twitter, like big names in World of Warcraft, and a couple of them who are also members of Polaris, not to give too much away, were like, "Oh, this entire expansion is just fan service," and I was thinking, except I don't recall you saying that about Mr. Pandaria, which was that whole thing was literally people kept going, when are we going to get to play the Pandaren? And Blizzard were like, and then it just got to the point where they're like, oh fuck it, you can play the Pandaren. And I didn't see anything along the lines of, oh, why are Blizzard taking this joke and turning it into an expansion? Instead I saw, oh wow, Blizzard are doing something amazing with Mr. Pandaria. And with this, it's like, this is fan service? I don't know if it is, because if there's one thing that you'd always see with every expansion, it's why are the Alliance and the Horde working together again? Why aren't they permanently at war? Why this, why that? You know, the whole thing that people seem to like the most vocal people who play WoW seem to like, is that they want, you know, massive warfare between Horde and Alliance. It's like, oh no, I'm sick of working with the Alliance. I don't really recall reading that many people going, I want Illidan to come back, and I want the Burning Legion to come back, and I want to be able to meet other members of the same class as me, but from the other side. I don't remember anyone calling for that. So, in a way, it is only the Fix-It expansion. It's the, we're hemorrhaging subs, this is really bad, we screwed up. But, on the other hand, I'm actually okay with it, because it's just...
Well,
they're introducing stuff that makes sense for me.
Yeah, you said it's a Fix-It expansion, and it is right. It is. This is an expansion which isn't designed to, like, it's not going to have the same impact as Warlords. You're not going to have all these people.
It's not designed to WoW, is it?
No. No, because with Warlords, everyone who played Wrath, right, basically got pissed with fucking Cataclysm and then just left and never even bothered with Mob. That's us, yeah? That's millions of players. Warlords, though, was when, hey, boys, come back. oh shit, we came back. But then it was like, oh, ha, we've got no content, go away and die. So then you're like, well, okay, this is shit. But then they broke the game with things like the garrisons and just the way loot was delivered and the way dungeons became irrelevant after you'd done them like twice, and then there weren't enough raids and it was just shit. Now they're saying we're going to have loads of raids, loads of dungeons. There's going to be loads of reasons to go back to dungeons. There's going to be this, there's going to be that. There's going to be guild halls. You don't have garrisons. There's going to be fucking like literally everything you want as a WoW player. So there will be people playing. I mean, hell, I've reactivated my WoW subscription because I had I don't know where it's gone, but I had a card, a 2-month card, because some guys from the forums, which if you guys want to check out, if you go to unitlost.com and just search the forums for World of Warcraft, there is a guild which is set up by one of the community members called Mr. Lich, and he's a hardcore WoW player, and if you do want to get back into it, now's the time. But like I said, like I didn't, I guess, pay any money for it, but I went back in, and it's okay just to faff around on its WoW, Yeah. But what's Legion going to give me when it comes out? Well, it's going to give me a game which is going to be playable again, and it's going to make me want to play. At least that's what I think, yeah? The PvP is interesting to me because I like it being a level playing field, because it would always be the same, wouldn't it? Some guy running around murdering everyone, and it would be like, oh, well, this is shit because I haven't played 1,000 hours of PvP.
Yeah.
And then it would be, let's do some dungeons. Me and you did a couple of dungeons. It was like, oh, well, we're getting shit loot. I can't be arsed.
Yeah.
So we just left. It's like they need to fix all of that. And if they do, then it's playable again. But it's not like, holy shit, millions coming back.
But that being said, it's, as you say, I'm not sitting here looking at stuff for the expansion and going, oh, this looks amazing. I'm sitting there going, that could be all right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I might just be sitting there going, saying, that could be all right. But it's making me want to see if it's all right firsthand. Like, for this expansion, I'm not going to sit there and be like, I'll just read stuff on Reddit, I'll just read the forums and see what people think.
Yeah.
I want to see what the changes are, because the changes made in Warlords of Draenor were pretty severe. So the changes to this, which are going to alter or in some cases reverse what they've done, that interests me to see if it works again. And even if it's just to get people back to see if it's worked, if they do it right, those people will stay. Like, if they've done this right, then I could well find myself playing WoW again. Like, the PvP thing is the most interesting thing for me as well, because I think, honestly, some of the most fun I've ever had in that game was when we used to loiter around Old Track
for me
Valley.
As well. Yeah.
It was absolutely, it was enjoyable every single time. I don't think I ever came away from a long PvP session in WoW going, oh, that was shit, I didn't get any loot, or oh, that was crap. All we were doing was grinding for honor, effectively, to get more gear. But I managed to get nearly every set of gear from, every piece from a rogue, which says something when all you're doing is playing the same thing over and over. And if they can introduce that again, I'm all for it. But I don't know, I kind of hope it does okay, because I'd like to actually want to play World of Warcraft again. But at the same time, they claim it's kind of deserved that they're having to do this, because I think they massively misjudged Warlords of Draenor. I think they fucked it, and I think they know.
Well,
they know they fucked it.
Oh yeah. Well, the numbers are all the evidence they need. But they claim that they've got the next 2 or 3 expansions already planned. But I mean, once you've attacked the Legion, where'd you go? Like, some people were speculating, saying, well, given how much Azeroth has been battered, there needs to be an expansion about rebuilding. Because how the hell can they constantly keep taking on war after war and then just beating the most powerful army in the fucking universe and then carrying on? It's like mental. Anyway. I think we've got more Blizzard. We may as well just stay on fucking Blizzard for now. Anyway, there was the new job thing for a Diablo art director.
Yes,
and they were after a guy with like a massive load of experience, wasn't he?
It's crazy. So if I just scroll down here, so Blizzard Entertainment, the developer of the most epic game in the world, is seeking an exceptionally skilled and passionate art director to help develop Blizzard's next hit game, the listing states, working alongside a team of the best artists, engineers, and developers on the planet, and enjoy the support of a company whose culture is centered on collaborative game development. The successful applicant will have at least 10 years experience crafting video game art and 5 years as a lead artist or art director. Other prerequisites include incredible communications and interpersonal skills, experience handling a large staff, proficiency with various 2D and 3D applications, and the ability to crack the whip and drop the hammer as needed. A passion for games with a deep understanding of the Diablo franchise is listed as a plus. So that's quite clearly going to be something to do with Diablo, because you would not say that they need a massive kind of extensive knowledge of Diablo to do it. And I've just noticed when I switch the scene back to the Hotfix overlay, ignore the fact that my camera takes a second to appear, ladies and gentlemen. It's just another catalogue of failures with Hotfix. But I'm interested in this. Do you reckon it's Diablo 4? Because that seems like way over the top for an expansion. Surely they've got the people they need in place, already working on Diablo 3 to create a new expansion for it. I don't remember when Reaper of Souls was being put up. They were like, we need someone with an insane amount of experience who knows everything about the franchise.
It's going to be well, we've still got one more expansion to go, with Diablo 3, and that'll probably be announced at BlizzCon this year, probably for next year at some point. Right, because Reaper of Souls is like a year old now, ain't it, or something?
Yeah.
I mean, Diablo 4, I kind of find that hard to believe because Diablo 3 is a platform that can be endlessly built upon with expansions. And this, like you said, does seem ludicrous for somebody to work on an expansion because surely they've already got that team in place. What they're looking for here is somebody to get a team of people and make a new Diablo experience. What the hell would that be? Like, I can't.
At first,
what
I
would
thought
that
to myself,
be? It's not an MMO.
Ridiculous.
It's no way going to be an MMO.
There's no
FPS
point.
game? No, because I've got Overwatch. An RTS game? Doesn't really make any sense. No.
I mean,
an RPG? I mean, where are we going with this? It's weird.
Yeah, and everything is well, I say it's pointing to Diablo. It says on the bloody job list.
Yeah, it's just Diablo.
But I thought about this earlier, and I thought, well, saying Diablo 4 could be a bit ridiculous. Is it actually that ridiculous, given how much Diablo 3 has sold? I mean, it's kind of... I know it was like... Wasn't it like the fastest selling PC game of all time or something when it was first released?
Yeah, well, it's done 30 million copies. But my argument to this is, like, Diablo 4... What would Diablo 4 be, though? No, seriously, though, what would Diablo 4 be? Because Diablo 3 is so, like, modern, right?
Yeah.
What the hell would you make a Diablo 4?
This is where I'm kind of struggling, because it does seem massively excessive for an expansion. And also, if they are going to be doing an expansion to Diablo 3, they're not going to advertise a listing now if they expect that expansion to come out within the next couple of years, are they? Reasonably.
This is a long-term thing. This is going to be at least 5 years plus.
Yeah. And for someone with that amount of experience is unlikely to come on board for the sake of an expansion of an already existing game that's got to be done, got to have stuff done for the next BlizzCon, which makes sense for it to be announcing, because as you say, I think it's been about a year since Reaper of Souls.
Yeah.
So it's got to be something bigger than that. But as you say, it's like, what could you do with Diablo 4? I mean, Diablo 3 still looks fine. It's still a good-looking game.
I'm of the mind of Diablo 3 is like the king of action RPG games, and I don't think you would come out with a Diablo 4, because it's sort of the same thing as a World of Warcraft 2. Like, it must be something different. I mean, it has to be a different type of game.
Like I don't know whether this is insane or not, but like some sort of free-to-play Diablo experience, maybe?
Could be.
I mean, you've already got, like, look at Path of Exile. That's a free-to-play action RPG. That's done really well.
Yeah,
Blizzard,
but I don't think they want to tackle
it. But then when Blizzard tackle this kind of... Although that would be a direct competition to something they already own. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they wouldn't do that. It's like I was thinking maybe a card game. No, because they've got a Hearthstone. Why would they have a Diablo card game?
Unless they do some sort of crazy expansion of Hearthstone with Diablo heroes?
Well, that's what they do with Heroes of the Storm, don't they? They bring their franchise in, but that's what that's designed to be.
Whereas Hearthstone is designed to be Heroes of Warcraft, not Heroes of the Blizzard universe, because HOTS has already got that covered, effectively.
I'm at a loss. I don't know what this is for. I mean, if it is a really long-term thing, then maybe Diablo 4, right? But like I said, Diablo 4, it's surely just going to be a glorified expansion to Diablo 3. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know. Let me know what you think, guys, in the comments below, because an interesting one, that is.
There's one of the comments on the PC Gamer article that we just showed, which I don't know why I scrolled down to these, because they're usually dreadful. Someone's commented and said, the game is dead to the core Diablo fan base. They had a year to get it right, and they didn't. They admitted that the game wasn't going to be any good, and we ignored them. But the game sucks, and no one is interested in a Diablo 4. 30 million sales to date kind of suggest that that's bullshit.
What the hell?
Just a thought. More Blizzard. Let's do more Blizzard. So this is not surprising at all. Report: Hearthstone is raking in $20 million every month. That does not shock me whatsoever.
Nobody's shocked anywhere.
No one is shocked in any way, shape, or form. It does, as it says in the article somewhere here, but I can't remember where, although that's really all you need to know. Because if you want to know why it's done that much, well, it's Hearthstone. It's played by millions of people. And people buy packs all the time, and then they release those stupid hero portraits, and there's a new expansion coming out. You just, name your reason. But it is, funnily enough, the most successful card game by far. It's blowing all the others out of the water, which, again, is no surprise to anyone, because when you look at the alternatives... I say when you look at the alternatives, what are the alternatives? There's Magic, what is it? It's not Magic. It's Magic the Gathering, but is it?
Yeah, it's like Jewels of the Planeswalker 2015 or 16 or something. I don't know.
More, as far as I know, that's more complicated. There was a new Yu-Gi-Oh game released.
Yeah,
for people who were raised in the 90s. I mean,
and
really
there was
cares?
also.
I can't think of another card game.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. There's a load on mobile.
Yeah,
like, there's a ton of them on mobile. And like, I mean, it's hats off to Blizzard for doing what they've done with that type of game. But, well, this is going to sound stupid, but 20 million a month isn't really a lot to them. But I don't think that Hearthstone. I mean, like, when you look at their other games, yeah, Hearthstone's got to be the least like intensive to produce. I know they've got like balance issues, and they've got things like, they have to keep making new cards and stuff. But it's just a Unity game. This isn't like a fucking game they've had to build loads of lore for, and then build shitloads of story and loads of other shit. I mean, okay, there's still a lot of effort in it, sure. It's going to be nothing compared to WoW or, what's going on with Overwatch or Diablo or StarCraft.
Honestly, I think at this stage they could get away with not releasing like huge packs or expansions of cards like until it was once every 2 years or something, and it would still pull in a load of money.
Yeah,
because it's a simple game that's easy to get into. It's free to play unless you want to spend money on it, in which case you can spend money on it. It covers all the bases because it's got essentially casual multiplayer, it's got ranked multiplayer, it's got solo play where you can fight, different bosses with interesting mechanics, and it's got that kind of rare drop, loot chasing element as well with the kind of cards that you can get from packs. It's essentially designed from the ground up to get people addicted to it straight off. So
and I think they've been testing the waters recently with what they've been releasing, especially with the portrait for $10 to see how much they can get away with. Because this is a game with like, it's got to be their most played game now, like for just users. It's got to be.
It smashes Dota 2, according to the article. It earns more than Dota 2, and Dota 2 is not that's no slouch when it comes to pulling money for Valve.
I didn't. How much does WoW make a month then? WoW must make. I mean, what's it got? Hang on. So it's got like 5.9 million.
Dota 2
times
is 18 million a month as of March. Although, having said that, Dota 2's competitor in top mobile League of Legends makes 123 million a month as of January, so that's 20 million doesn't seem all that impressive.
Yeah, I think Warcraft has got to be around about that as well. WoW has got to be around that 100 million a month. It's got to be.
Yeah, it's got to be something like that.
Right? Surely. Because, I mean, the sub's like, what, $15 a month, is it, or something? Monthly. And then you've got all the little horses and shit you can buy.
Earnings? Let's see.
I mean, like, if I do some maths here, so we do like 5.9 million times 15, you're looking at about $88 million just on the sub money. And then what about all the little transactions going through? Got to be at least 15 million, maybe.
I can't.
100 million, I'd say.
I can't find a figure. Oh, hang on. I think this article is from 2014, so it's quite out of date. But in April, it generated $93 million.
So I'm almost there, about 100 million.
About 100 million, about 100 million a month, which, as you say, I mean, compared to Hearthstone, that blows it out of the water. But then World of Warcraft has arguably got far more in the way of infrastructure to be spending money on and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not surprised Hearthstone's making that much. It's I hate saying this because they obviously can fuck it up because they did it with Warlords of Draenor, but it's a Blizzard game, ain't it? Somehow they always manage to at least find some way of producing something that people want to play, and there was no real competitor to Hearthstone to start with, so they've kind of shifted into...
It is a typical Blizzard thing, isn't it? Of like, oh look, these are games here, there's a genre of games which we could probably make pretty Blizzardy, and then we're just going to go for it, and they did, and then they ended up with Hearthstone, which is just like commanding to just ultimately commanding in that sector of games, which is fair. I mean, Overwatch probably do the same thing to the FPS thing when that comes out.
Yeah, yeah.
Like Heroes of the Storm, I never thought that would, and it was funny because I'm used to speak to people like Rui and whatever, going, "Oh, it's going to be great." I never thought it would be. I mean, it's playable, but that's never in a million years going to get close to Dota, let alone League of Legends in terms of players.
But
never.
It will still earn a tidy amount. I'm
sure. Oh
shit!
Yeah, it's got to be at least 10 million a month, right?
It must be.
I mean, I wouldn't even know. I'll Google it. I wouldn't even know how to fucking work out how much that makes a month. Heroes.
Given how expensive some of the stuff is in there, it's got to be.
Yeah, it is expensive. You know what they? Oh, it says Heroes of the Storm around about 10 million a month claims some sort of agency. So I was kind of right. Just pulling figures out my arse.
You've absolutely got Blizzard's earnings down here. This is even insider bloke. You've been leaking information.
But you see, that's not bad. 10 million a month. I mean, that's 20 million a year.
For a fairly recent, not quite established game in that genre, that's not bad. When you look at how many MOBAs launch and shut down like 2 months later, 10 million a month, you should probably be happy with that. And the final bit of Blizzard news, because this feels like it's been the Blizzard special hotfix.
So, yeah, I know. Yeah.
This is Blizzard have registered the trademark Compete.
Yes.
An eSports tournament creation system. Specifically, the trademark is for providing an online, non-downloadable, internet-based system application featuring technology enabling users to organise and promote eSports tournaments, to create and customise tournament brackets and ladders, track tournament progress, maintain related statistics, and post results. Compete will presumably be used as a tool to back up Blizzard's strong lineup of esports games, including StarCraft 2.
Words out, mouth bloke.
There. Heroes of the Storm and Hearthstone. So does this mean they might actually do some sort of decent system for StarCraft 2? I mean, the game's only been out for
game's
God
dead.
knows how long.
That game's dead. They've got... Blizzard is stupid. I don't like Blizzard. We've been talking for like about an hour, but their whole approach to esports has been silly. I think the company which gets it right is Valve. The way they allow their games just to be played everywhere. You look at all the Dota tournaments. Look at Counter-Strike. I mean, Counter-Strike's the best example. Look how popular that has become for all these tournaments that have run all the time.
Exploded.
Oh yeah.
That Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
It wasn't even that popular, was it? Remember, it was just like
how long has it been out at this point? Because for a long time, it wasn't even a contender in terms of like most watched esport.
Oh,
in any capacity, and then
it was quite universally hated as well. That was by a lot of Counter-Strike purists. They were like, "This is shit,"
and now it's blown up. It's absolutely blown up. It's huge. Which I mean, it can't be that. I'm sorry, it can't be that difficult. I don't understand how they can't get it right. Blizzard are not a stupid company. By all accounts, they're not idiots. It's just like they don't know what they're doing for that specific thing, though, isn't it? It's a bit crazy. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what Compete is going to do, whether it's going to work, whether anyone's even going to care, to be honest. But
they are in a position to try and set something up like this, so I guess. So I don't know, but it's just it's saying it's a bit of nothing news is not really fair, but it's a bit of like.
I feel like it wouldn't be if it was a company that wasn't Blizzard, because they've just got such a shit track record for it.
Did you see ESL? They're going to do drugs tests, but they've said don't matter if you smoke a bit of weed, and it also don't matter if you're on drugs that the doctor said you should be on. Right, obviously.
So just fake a bit of ADHD, go and get the thing that they were on anyway, and Bob's your uncle. You can legally take the thing that caused the whole controversy in the first place.
It's actually quite easy to fake ADHD, isn't it? I suppose.
Well, it's massively overdiagnosed anyway, so knock yourself out. Right, on to something completely different. Mooncrest developers.
Yes. Oh, we're going into Kickstarter, Mr. Kirioth.
Kickstarter. Oh, yes, time to go into Kickstarter.
No, please help me.
So last month, a quintet, which you don't see that word a lot. A quintet of ex-BioWare developers.
It means four. It means four.
It's five.
I'm a retard. That'd be a quartet.
Of BioWare, ex-BioWare developers based in Austin, Texas, announced a role-playing game called Mooncrest.
Mooncrest.
I don't think it's very good name.
Hey, bloke. First time I heard of Mooncrest was yesterday. So bear that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, about what he's about to say.
They intended to combine the combat of a Souls game with the puzzles of a point-and-click adventure don't know how that would work, and the story-driven nature of a BioWare title. Last week, developer Nightmare, which is spelt night, as in like a feudal knight, and mayor, as in the mayor of a town, which again is a really rubbish name.
Yeah.
Launched a Kickstarter campaign looking
kind
for $400,000.
of like Alphabet, a really shit name for Google's new parent company.
Yes.
Because we always bet on the what did they say? We always make the best bets, so we make the alpha bets. Get out.
So poor. They did the Kickstarter campaign looking for $400,000, and now the Kickstarter is cancelled after just $48,000 was pledged by 1,400 backers. The lads have said this past weekend we came to the realization that we weren't going to make it, and we felt cancelling was our best course of action. The developers said in an update on the Mooncrest Kickstarter page. Nightmare, founded by Rick Burton, James Henley, Brian Ledden, and Jeffrey Visgatis, solid name,
Visgatio,
who worked on a number of BioWare games including Mass Effect, Jade Empire, and Star Wars: The Old Republic, admitted it had made a number of mistakes with its Kickstarter, including a weak project video, poor messaging, and a lack of in-game footage.
Poor messaging, no shit, I didn't even know about this.
All is not lost for Mooncrest, however. The developers hope to launch another Kickstarter once we're ready. Our focus will be on having a pitch video that actually, pitches the game, having in-game footage to show, and just going more in depth on what we have in place to see this game through production and to release. I mean, on the one hand, it doesn't sound that great. But then again, it could be that their method of communicating what it was about was so piss poor that I'd never heard of it until I saw the headline. And then when you look at what they said, even they think they communicated it badly.
Well, they did. I didn't know about it. I've said this before. I did not fucking know about the game.
Yeah.
I was like, what? I mean, okay, so they wanted to combine Dark Souls combat, with a BioWare story shit and a point-and-click adventure game, all together, like kind of like a fancy thing. Sounds pretty good to me, right?
I'm not sure about the puzzles of a point-and-click adventure.
No, I think that just means like.
In which case they've messed that up because that to me sounds like a really odd combination.
Yeah, it does make it sound like you're actually going to be point-and-clicking, I guess, around like it would be in Broken Sword or something. But I don't think that's what they were trying to say. I think they were just trying to say like, the puzzles of without the point-and-click, but the puzzles from those games. But they didn't say it in a proper. In a proper way, as I'd say.
The fact that they've actually said that they're going to do a pitch video that actually pitches the game. I mean, they've obviously got the self-awareness to know that they put the Kickstarter up, they looked at what it was doing, and then they went, why is this doing so poorly? And then they actually looked at what they'd done and said, because we have explained it really poorly. Oh dear me. I mean,
sometimes,
at least they've got the self-awareness for that.
Maybe the idea isn't good enough, though. This is another thing as well. Sometimes you see these people who relaunch Kickstarters because it's like, oh, it didn't do too well because our communication wasn't right. It's like, yeah, but maybe people don't want that. Yeah. I mean, the other Kickstarter thing, the Planetary Annihilation, where there was the big post where they just basically say, oh, the game is where we wanted the game to be and we think it's fine. It's just like...
Yeah, that's really poor. We'll switch over to that in a sec. I'll just go down. So they've put this update on their Kickstarter. When
I've played this game for 3 hours.
Like, it's not great for what it should have been. When we released Planetary Annihilation in September of 2014, we said we weren't done with the game yet, and we meant it. Features like offline access, single-player save, chrono resume, and new units such as the unit cannon, submarines, and interplanetary fighters have enriched the game in ways we never imagined. And it's not done yet. I've skipped a bit out. We can't wait to finish shipping out the remaining backer rewards, continuing creating custom commanders, and share the documentary of the making of Planetary Annihilation. They are finished. Like, I've not read the whole thing out because it's like 2 pages effectively, but what they're essentially saying is that they're done. And it says right here at the bottom, to you, our backers and the community who has embraced Planetary Annihilation, thank you. We couldn't have done it without you. In fairness, they didn't do it with you. Because the development of the game was just a mess. And funnily enough, the backers are not happy. So, this guy, that's nice and all, but when are you going to refund me for not fulfilling my rewards? So that's one start.
We should just come back to the whole Kickstarter thing. If you're just giving them money to hopefully make what you want them to make, at the end of the day, it's ultimately up to them what they do.
And this guy, I think, sums it up for pretty much everyone who has got their wits about them. Let me take this opportunity to express my dire disappointment on behalf of all of us who backed higher pledges to receive physical rewards. Even if my primary motivation to do so was to support the existence of the game in the first place, the way it was handled was nothing short of insulting. Having such a low quality sack of stuff delivered quickly would have been fine. Having it delivered in parts if some stuff was still missing would have been fine. Getting high quality stuff that is at least worth the wait would have been fine. Instead, after having to wait almost 3 years, what we got was the lowest quality excuse for quickly hobbled together stuff I ever saw bearing the name Collector's Edition. You even cheaped out on a case for the disc. So, not only was the actual development of the game not brilliant, and they messed around and pissed people off with that, by the look of it, the way they've handled the actual backers on Kickstarter has been incredibly piss poor as well.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like our two fabled friends, bloke.
It really does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got, like, it looks to me like they didn't understand how to spend the money they got, basically, from Kickstarter, and they've promised a load of rewards. Now, I've kind of got, like, a bit of experience with this, with the Unit Lost patrons. We used to give rewards out for these, so there were a load of rewards, right? They were, like, you get forum badges, you'd get, like, free merchandise and all this shit. To actually do that was such a ball ache. Like, it was unbelievable. And I did not have thousands and thousands of people to deal with, okay?
Yeah.
But when you look at some of the reward tiers for some of these Kickstarters, I mean, not just Planetary Annihilation, there are other ones. They are giving away a lot of stuff. And it's, like, a lot of stuff. Okay, it's not maybe worth the tier that you're pledging at, but it's still a lot of stuff. To actually, the logistics of that, it's going to add up if you're doing loads and loads of this and you've got to send like 1,000 super collector's editions off with all God knows what in that you haven't actually got, but you said you're going to have, but you haven't actually made them. Gets very dodgy. But Planetary Annihilation, this is a game that should have been really good. This is, or should have been, the spiritual successor to Supreme Commander on a galactic scale. That's what it was billed as. What it actually turned out to be is less about you actually being on a planet, more about you being on an island, because that's what how it played as. If you played on an island map on Supreme Commander, this game was no different. Okay, the map was rendered differently. You could spin around the planet. Great. There's not enough units in the game. It's really boring. Like, really boring. Things like the chrono control is shit. Because all that is, you can just replay, you can just go back in time and carry it and play it from that point. Who cares? Like, who cares? The game is like, even when you drill down to some really, like, fundamental aspects of it being an RTS, multiplayer was generally played on one planet, not in a system because it took too long. It was too easy to defend a planet as well. When you were on a planet and it was your own planet, you could completely lock that planet down just because of how difficult it was to get units to another planet. You could fire them with a unit cannon. You could use dropships to send them over. Just wasn't enough.
I found as well that if everyone's on the same planet, because you didn't have that kind of classic RTS thing of
so you can get attacked from everywhere.
Position. Yeah. It's like, in theory, that should make for quick, hectic games, but it just meant that if someone got a slight advantage, then he just died and that was the end of the game. It was too quick. It was like,
I've
defended here, but someone's attacked me from the other side.
You know, Supreme Commander, where you would have, you'd have tier 1 fights and you'd have tier 2 fights and whatever. Very rarely would it get to tier 3 and start firing nukes in multiplayer if it was competitive. If you're playing with your friends, then sure, you're just playing a massive map and be firing nukes all day.
Yeah.
But Planetary Annihilation,
experimentals all over the shop.
Yeah, but exactly what you said is true. With Supreme Commander, you're coming at the front of their base. You're not like just appearing around the back. Planetary Annihilation, you could build a force and you just circumnavigate where the defenses are because you can. Yeah. You can attack from every position and it's just not very. It really isn't very good.
In theory, you'd be like, oh well, a good player would mean that you'd be able to fend off an attack from any point, but it doesn't actually work in practice. When you look at pretty much any other RTS, especially any competitive RTS, I mean, look at like every StarCraft 2 map ever, for instance.
Yeah.
Why do you think you can't attack every single base position on those maps from the back? It's because it kind of unbalances the game a bit, and it makes it so that the games are too short, or if you make, like, I mean, admittedly, in StarCraft,
well, hang on. StarCraft's a bit of a poor example because StarCraft is designed to be ultra competitive, and you can attack the back of people's bases, but you can't do it at the start of the game most of the time. There'll be destructible rocks, or you'd have to use like a dropship or something. Yeah, so there would be a time constraint. It would be at least 5 minutes of in-game time before you could do this. Yeah. So you know you were safe. It is a fundamental problem with Planetary Annihilation that you can be attacked from the rear, from the side, from everywhere. But when the game does go, like I said, all multiplayer games are played on one planet. Somebody spawns there, and you just send units to each other, and that's it. That game over. Boring, right?
Yeah.
You're playing a solar system, you can never invade their home planet, never. Even if the player is nowhere near as good as you, but they're competent, so they've built units, yeah? You just cannot invade them. Because what you need to do to invade them is get construction units down, build the teleporter gate, right, so you can flood units through, or build construction facilities on their planet. But of course, they will see you doing this and kill you. So what does the game devolve into? Just smashing planets into each other, which the most effective strategy in that game, if you play against more than one person, in fact, even if you just play against one person, but you're not on one planet, so you're in a solar system, is to very quickly get yourself into space as fast as possible, get engines on the nearest movable space object and slam it into their planet and win the game. That is it.
Yeah.
That is literally the best way to win the game, while building loads and loads and loads of orbital defense on your planet. So if they send anything into your planet,
it just gets destroyed.
You just kill them with your interceptors. Yeah, so it's just, it could have been a fantastic game, but it really isn't, and it is a major letdown. It is a Kickstarter letdown, and it was one of these golden era Kickstarter games where Kickstarter was just starting to show up, and it was like, hey, all these games that everybody really wanted but no publisher wants to cough the money up for, you can go and fund, and this was most definitely one of those games, but it is a failure.
Yep. And it doesn't do Kickstarter any good when that kind of thing happens. And I've got no faith in that company now, that developer. I don't care about what they do, because
feels half-arsed, doesn't it?
It could have been amazing, and it just wasn't. And it had no excuse to not be, to be honest. This is just the headline for this is making me laugh. So there's been some leaked footage for Fallout 4 blog.
Oh yeah.
And it's found, as it even says here on the headline, smuggled footage of Fallout 4 demo finds an unusual home.
Yes.
Because it's on Pornhub.
Oh,
which,
yes.
Funnily enough, I'm not going to show you the video of it because it's surrounded by all manner of stuff, unsurprisingly. And I really like the title of the video is Hidden Camera Shows Audience Teased by Big Butt Man in Tights Live. So this is like, it's about 7 minutes, I believe, of footage. From Fallout 4, a bit of gameplay. It's not supposed to have appeared,
no,
obviously, because it's been leaked. But it's, I'd imagine it's only been put on Pornhub because obviously, if you put something on YouTube, it'll get just claimed instantly. You know, there's just no way. Pornhub, however, I imagine doesn't have that much in the way of copyright protection on it, just because of, well, what it is. I don't. It's just a weird, daft thing, and I have read a couple of comments since saying that actually places like Pornhub, especially like porn sharing sites, have become kind of not a big deal for this kind of thing, but it happens more often than you think. It's like this has appeared because it's Fallout and everyone's looking for Fallout stuff and everyone's excited for Fallout 4. Apparently, it's actually fairly common at this stage to find.
So there's like a whole underground like ecosystem of people like uploading films to Pornhub.
Yeah, apparently so. I saw a couple of comments on Reddit saying that. There was a comment on the Polygon article itself. And I mean, as it says here, the game's forum has since Monday posted links to file hosting and streaming sites, watching them go dead one by one. Pornhub appears to be the longest lasting home for the video, having made it a full 24 hours. Now, given that this has been seen by like 150,000 people, as you saw on the screenshot just then, and you know it's being reported in the news, the fact that it's lasted that long is kind of testament as to just why places like Pornhub would be so good for this, because it's obvious that any sort of claim by another company makes fuck all difference because that's not what they're for. And I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that like, you know how piracy is rife for things like TV and movies.
Yeah.
Apparently, piracy for porn is like the worst. Like it is just insane how much porn gets pirated, because there's not that many websites online where you can go and watch, say the new Fantastic Four film comes out. I don't know why anyone would watch it. It looks like shit. But say you wanted to watch it without going to the cinema. Now, you might find someone's taken their bloody camera into the cinema and filmed it underneath a jacket and you get like a really shit quality recording of it, and it might turn up on whatever the equivalent of Pirate Bay is at the moment, whether they're in prison or whatever's going on that site. But you're unlikely to just be able to go to like a .com site, for instance, type in Fantastic Four new film, and then watch the new film in its entirety, like in the quality that it was shown at, without it being filmed on a camcorder. There are so many porn sites at this point that, like, some studios, when they release videos, apparently they see an exact copy of the video that only people who pay for it should be able to get access to on multiple websites within, like, minutes of releasing it. So it just appears. And these different websites, like Pornhub and whatever and all the others, they are not going to have the systems in place that YouTube does to catch copyright infringement. They're just not going to do that because of the nature of what it is that they're showing, and the fact that, like YouTube, anyone can upload anything, but it's restricted to obviously just one genre of stuff.
The funniest thing for me is I don't know why Bethesda are trying to control this footage, because I watched the footage and it's just Fallout 4. It isn't like anything amazing. It's not like, wow,
it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Some sort of like unheard of thing is being shown off here. So I don't get why they're so anal. I guess that's a good descriptive word there to use for considering the website that is on. Anyway, about this, because like none of it's shocking, none of it's crazy, but the fact that they're chasing it down and getting rid of it means that suddenly it's pushed into all the news sites, which means that suddenly we're talking about it on Hotfix. So really, they basically got the complete opposite effect that they wanted. Now everybody's talking about it, and it just made me laugh because I'd never seen anything like this before. Because I was there and I was like, "What the hell is this?" Like I seen it on Reddit, and I was like, Pornhub. So I clicked on it, and lo and behold, it uploaded. I'm like, Jesus Christ! And then there's a fucking like a cam film of like the behind the scenes thing. I'm just like, so ridiculous. But I don't Bethesda. I don't understand why they were so.
They should just. I don't know why they're not just leaking it themselves at this point. Fallout 4 is already like pretty much as close to maximum hype as it's ever going to get. It looks like
Fallout 3.
It does,
the engine
but
is arse.
People don't care, do they? They're just like, oh, Fallout 4. So just let it leak. Let it leak. It provides a massive amount of publicity because, as you say, this is everywhere. If this had appeared on YouTube and it hadn't got claimed, I wouldn't have cared.
I wouldn't have cared.
Fallout 4 footage. Now everyone's like, Fallout 4 footage. Oh my god, what could it mean? Well, I mean, someone's leaked Fallout 4 footage. That's all there is to it. But still, it's like it's adding extra publicity to something that. Why would you stop it? I don't get it. We should be doing marketing for these companies. We're better than they are. God's sake. We should also do marketing for not marketing, but just general decisions for Bungie because Bungie are terrible. So. This is the shocking news blog.
God, because Bungie are terrible.
They are. This is like, I'm sorry, but I only put this article in here because it's one of the most stupid things I've read for ages. Why Destiny
it's not Dinklebot as well, as I keep calling it the Dinklebot.
Dinklebot. Why Destiny ditched Peter Dinklage. So, I think we covered this before, where Peter Dinklage has been replaced as the voice of the Ghost in
by
Destiny.
Nolan North, who's the fucking voice actor in every other game.
Yeah, it's now Nolan North, who does, as you
Everything.
say, every game ever released has got his voice in it. And speaking in an interview with Game Informer, executive producer Mark Noseworthy, which at first I thought was like not his real name. I didn't know Noseworthy was a name, but apparently it is.
I wonder what his family did in the past.
I know,
Rhinoplasty.
because it usually comes from some sort of like
profession, doesn't it?
Profession, doesn't it?
Fuck knows where yours came from then.
I don't know. He was a nasal surgeon, his family. They were nasal surgeons. Was asked whether Dinklage was ditched due to fan criticism of the character or his performance, or whether it had just been due to Hollywood nonsense. It's more on the nonsense side of things, he responded. Dinklage was awesome to work with, but we needed to work with someone who is more available. Nolan is a pro. This is his thing. You can just call him up and say, hey, next week we're doing this internal playtest, and it would be great to get some ghost dialogue in there, and he's available. See, the problem I've got here is that not only the interviewer mentioned Hollywood nonsense, but then the guy responded with, it was more nonsense. A Hollywood actor being approached to do the voice work for a video game character, I mean, he's going to be quite busy because he's a Hollywood actor. I mean, I don't know whether he's noticed, but there's this show called Game of Thrones that's quite popular, I believe, where the guy who's supposed to be doing a voice for Ghost is where he got his popularity. You know, that's kind of what propelled him.
What was this program called again?
It was called Game of Thrones.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I gather it's quite big in some circles, but just this whole
underground circles.
Underground.
Maybe the circles that upload things to Pornhub.
It was leaked on Pornhub.
I'll best have a look.
This whole thing of like, oh yeah, well we just couldn't get hold of Dinklage. He's too busy. It's nonsense. It's not really nonsense. It's the fact that a working actor cannot necessarily drop everything to do a reading of your shit dialogue.
Yeah, I hate to break it to them, but I'm pretty sure Dinklage is getting fairly close to A-list material. He is going to get paid a shitload of money for various jobs, more than he's going to get for doing a bit of voice acting, which admittedly is probably insane anyway. But if he's going to be filming the next Game of Thrones series or involved in God knows what Hollywood film, he's getting paid millions and millions of dollars for that, which is more than he would be being Dinklebot. And so probably, yeah. Why he was casted as that in the first place was weird.
I don't know. It's daft, isn't it? And it's just there's just something about the whole Hollywood nonsense thing that kind of rubbed me up the wrong way.
I don't think there's any nonsense here, though.
No,
stupid.
That's the thing. It kind of implies that it's like they call up Dinklage, right? They're like, we need some ghost dialogue. Call up the Dinklebot. We need some dialogue. And they call him, and a guy answers the phone, and he's like, "Yeah, what do you want?" It's like, well, we need some dialogue recording. Could Mr. Dinklage come in? He's busy. And then the phone gets slammed down. If that's how exchanges went, I would describe that as Hollywood nonsense because it's I'm too important for you. If it's because he's fucking working, as anyone would, then that's not nonsense, is it? That just means that he doesn't have a schedule that lines up with your schedule, which is just what happens in professional world
If this is even true,
anywhere.
This might not even be true. This might just be a case of they thought he was shit and they didn't want him back. So this is the least offensive way of publicly saying he was shit. Yeah, it was just a bit of nonsense.
Nonsense.
It could be. Because it was shit. I mean, like we said last week, I mean, he must have been told.
Either,
well, he must have been told to talk like that. There's no way he just did that and they were like, that's fine. They've told him to be dry and mechanical and just deliver it that way because that's the personality they want for the Ghost. But it'll be interesting to see what it sounds like now because it'll just sound like every other game hero character ever. Because this Nolan guy, I mean, allow me to... let me just give you his So he's Nathan Drake from Uncharted. He's Edward Richtofen from Call of Duty Black Ops 3. He's somebody from Rick and Morty, which is obviously that TV series. He's also involved in some other shit there. Dragon's Race. He's involved in a load of like TV shows as well. Batman Arkham Knight. He is the Penguin and Oswald Cobblepot. Lego Jurassic World, he's Dodgson. He is in Hulk and Agents of Smash, which is a TV series. He is also in Infinite Crisis, which is a video game. He plays Atomic Green Lantern and the Atomic Joker. He's in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Heroes Turtles TV series. He is in Lego DC Comics Superhero something or other versus the Bizarro League. He is in the SpongeBob movie.
Everything.
He's in Dying Light. He's in Saints Row Get Out of Hell. He's in Star Wars The Old Republic. He's in Tales from Borderlands. These are still like this year. Oh, now we're 2014. He's in Lego DC Comics Batman something, which is also a video. He's in Skylanders. He's in... Oh, hang on. He is in Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. He is in Disney Infinity. He's in Heavenly Sword.
He can just do it any time. Have they actually read what he does? Because I know they've said he's a pro, but the implication that Nolan can just turn up whenever they ask and just do voice acting.
Batman Arkham Origins.
From what you've said, he sounds quite fucking busy to me, bloke. He sounds like he does a fair bit of work. So,
Assassin's Creed.
Which Assassin's Creed was he in?
Black Flag. Desmond Miles, whoever that is.
He was... Wait, he plays Desmond
in
he's
the main guy. Yeah, Desmond. Yeah.
I never realised that was him. Oh my god.
He's the guy, isn't he? Like the modern guy.
Yeah, the shit one that no one wants to play.
Yeah, it's got like a bald head.
You have to stop assassinating people occasionally so you can take hold of some whiny bitch who runs around with a backpack from 1992 on.
He's also the president in Saints Row 4 as well, because he's President Nolan North of the United States of America. Dota 2, he's the brewmaster bloke. He's the Earth Spirit. He's the gyrocopter. I mean, Deadpool. He's Deadpool. The Last of Us is in that.
He's Ellie.
Metro Last Light. Star Trek Into Darkness. He's the USS Vengeance bridge officer. So he's actually in the film. Poker Night 2. He's in that. Injustice Gods Among Us is General Zod. Basically, this guy is in every game.
Yeah, he's in everything ever, effectively.
Spec Ops: The Line, Captain Martin Walker. Transformers: Fall of Cybertron. Assassin's Creed 3, obviously, because he's Desmond Miles. Superman versus the Elite. I've never heard of that.
I knew Nolan North did a load of stuff for games, but I honestly didn't realise quite the scope of his voice acting. It's just everywhere, isn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah, everywhere.
God. I'm just now wondering like how many games I've played where I've been like, oh, like he was the guy. That was him in that game, but I didn't realise it was him.
Who is the guy who plays the scout in Dawn of War 2? Is that him as well? Cyrus.
Ooh, I don't know. Could be. Was he in Dawn of War? I feel like Nolan North might have been in Dawn of War 2. Google it.
No, Steve Blum. I'm sure he's a serial offender as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy's a serial offender.
Serial offender.
Yeah, he's in everything, man. Like Infinite Crisis again.
How is that game? It's not still going. Is
Star
it,
Wars: The Old Republic. No, it's shut down. Justice League, something or other. Legend of Korra. Yeah, again, these guys, Nolan North and this guy, must be friends because they're in a lot of the same stuff. Yeah.
Right. Anyway, and onto another game that Nolan North is in. That's a lie. I don't know if he's in it at all. I've just made that up. This is The Flock, which we've talked about before, which is going to launch soon. And really, I'm just curious to know, firstly, what you lot think of this. So, time-limited horror game The Flock begins later this month. This is the game where there are 215,358,979 lives, effectively. And once... It's an asymmetric stealth horror game, by the way. Once the population reaches 0, the game will be removed from sale forever. So it has a limited lifespan. They have no idea how long the game will run, only that once you lose all those 215 million lives, like the players do, the game just stops.
Yeah.
There is no game. Now, it's a really interesting concept, but here's my worry, right? Here's my worry. We all know that occasionally, just occasionally, and I'm not including anyone in particular in this statement, there is such a thing as arseholes on the internet, right? It's a phenomenon. We don't see it often, obviously, but every now and again, you might come across someone who's like, "Oh, I see what you're going for there. How best can I ruin this for you?" And you know, they do exist. Is this just absolutely ripe for a concerted effort of arseholes to just see how quickly they can get it to shut down? Because I feel like it's a really interesting concept. I actually quite like the idea of this, where it's like, there aren't many games that have got like an actual end point, is there?
No.
No, you can go back and replay them. You can go and do different things. I can't really think of any other game where once you get to the end of every life in the game, there's like no game. So, is it going to work, do you think? Or do you think it's just going to...
It's just a stunt. It's just a stunt to get people into the game. But like you said, I think it is open to abuse. I don't think it's going to take much for somebody to set up a bot, a little script, which just kills you, then does it again, 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 does it again. I mean, it ain't going to do it very fast. But if a load of people got together and did that, maybe. Maybe people won't care because it's only a little indie game. I don't know. I mean, honestly, there was something which I didn't even... everyone's gone to the Rapture. That was a game that came out the other day from the Chinese room who made Dear Esther. And I still don't understand what that game is. I think it's like a walking simulator in a Surrey village or something. And everyone's gone to the Rapture.
Bloody walking simulators.
I don't know, but yeah. But honestly, yeah, it was a bit random. But The Flock, I don't know. I'd honestly never heard of it until you sent me the links for Hotfix, and I looked at it and I just thought it's a little stunt to get people to play the game.
Yeah, I mean, if it'd be interesting, I I'd be interested to see how it works out, like how long it lasts, because I like it, even if it is just down to being a stunt. I do kind of like it when developers try and do something a bit different, even if it's just
it's thinking outside of the box a little bit, isn't it?
It's introducing something new that you haven't seen before, and I do like that. But with something like this, I kind of wondered just how well it's going to work. I mean, they have said that, you know, it's acknowledged that it has no way to stop large groups of players from messing with the numbers via repeated mass suicide, although it expects that the sheer size of the flock and a built-in respawn timer will keep those sort of shenanigans from having too much impact. Lives lost due to hacking or bots will be restored if and when the cheater is caught. And if the game is successful enough to go multi-platform, the flock population will be boosted to compensate. Other than that, the population will not be touched. So there's definitely scope for like a big group of people to get together and all, you know, get into the game. Then again, it's, as far as I know, I haven't seen anything here. No, it's for sale, so it's not free to play. So you'd have to.
Question is though, I mean, if you're looking at
and then get a refund, is that maybe that's something they should look at? Like genuinely, if someone buys the game,
plays it for an hour and a half, dies,
refunds, dies over and over again, and then the game is refunded, maybe they should reinstate all lives lost to refunded accounts.
Because think about it, you could abuse that because what you could do is you could refund the game, then use that money to buy the game again on a different Steam account and do it again and again and again. Yeah. But you'd have to be a dedicated arsehole for that. That is going really way and beyond. But
it's like if they did introduce that, whereby refunds mean
215 million deaths. I mean, how many copies are they going to sell, though? If we played the game and died 10 times, then
it's not even a dent, is it? It's just a drop in the bucket.
How many millions would you need for that? You would need like 10 million sales.
Yeah,
20 million sales.
Is the concept of the game enough to drive?
Are they going to get 20 million? Diablo 3 has got 30 million sales, and it's the biggest selling PC game ever.
Yeah. So they have said that they have no idea how long it'll take. So
I don't think it'll ever be hit.
The game could be around for like 5 years, and that's the other thing. Has it got?
But again, that
we don't know.
20 million. They need 20 million sales, Blake, if each person were to die 10 times.
Yeah. You don't even know like whether the game's any good as well. That's another thing. It might have an interesting concept, but if the game itself is crap, then word's going to get out that it's crap. So as a social experiment, or as a new concept, it's not actually going to make any difference because no one's going to play it because it's not fun to play to begin with. And so you're not going to sit there and be like, oh, we've lost a load of lives, because people would just be like, this game's not very good, goodbye. So,
goodbye.
Something worth keeping an eye on, but I don't know how well it'll actually do. Finally,
I think it's too high. If it was something like crazy, like 100,000 deaths, like, oh shit, then it would be, people would scramble to buy it, but then people would get angry because they'd buy it and not be able to play the game anymore.
I want to know what the rationale is behind the number they've picked, though. It's like a really random number.
It's a really high number as well, really.
Yeah. Unless there's just loads of stuff in the world that's going to wipe you out.
Unless you just die like Dark Souls levels.
Yeah, walk around a corner and some guy just smashes your face in and you're just dead. It's like, oh, for God's sake. So on something slightly more established, and at first it looks a bit weird, but it's not when you read it. Divinity Original Sin 2 is heading to Kickstarter this month. So you might be sitting there thinking to yourself, well, why is Divinity Original Sin 2 going to be on Kickstarter? Just because the original one was. It was really successful. It did really well. It had a publisher. It's critically acclaimed. It's done fantastically.
One of the great successes of Kickstarter, this is.
Yeah. Why do they need to fund the second one through Kickstarter?
So this is like a CRPG, so a classical RPG game like Baldur's Gate style thing, which is... You can play co-op. Me and you played this a little bit, remember? It's pretty good. It's very time-consuming. You'd have to have two very like-minded people to play this, though.
I have gone back and played it by myself.
Yeah.
I didn't like playing it co-op because I don't know why, it didn't grab me co-op, but I did try playing it by myself.
You know what the problem is co-op? You know what the problem is with this game co-op? Well, for me anyway, it's like the Diablo problem. Diablo 2. More so than Diablo 3, where you can blast through the story dead quick. Like, people have got different speeds of playing the game, and it would be like, yeah, now I'm really doing this, and then you're like, oh god, hang on, I need to read this, and it breaks the game completely.
I much preferred playing it by myself.
Yeah,
like I enjoyed it playing it by myself, but I wasn't I didn't like the co-op bit. It was fine in the combat. I just didn't like it when it actually came to the town and doing all the quests around there, because it was like it didn't feel right to me. But
Yeah, because you've been there for hours. It wasn't like you just run in 5 seconds and get quests. It's like
yeah,
you're talking to everybody and working out everything. Yeah.
So what they've said, and I'll read the statement at the bottom, which is from Larian's leader Sven Vink. I'm hopeful though. There was a small scene in Divinity Original Sin 2. I forgot what it was called when I looked at the the shortened version of it. Right at the beginning of the demo that will be shown to press and players at PAX Prime. It's a small detail, but every time I see it, my heart starts beating faster because of the enormous implications it has for the entire game. It was when I saw this that I felt sure about taking it to Kickstarter. I think other RPG players will recognise what it means for the game, and their hearts will start beating faster also. And I think they'll want us to put out as much of it as we possibly can in the game. We have the budget to do cool stuff already, but what we'll be doing is something we can really take very far. How far will depend on how a Kickstarter campaign fares. Maybe we'll even be able to do very cool stuff. All the money we'll hopefully raise with Kickstarter will be put on top of what we're investing already to make the game better. The same scenario essentially as with the original Divinity Original Sin. And they have actually said as well, which for some reason the article doesn't actually quote, that one of the reasons that they're taking Original Sin 2 to Kickstarter is because of how much of an impact the backers had on the original one. So it says it feels weird saying original when original is part of the name, but
Yeah.
they had the basis for the funding of Divinity Original Sin. They took it to Kickstarter. They got lots of backers, lots of fans, a lot of feedback. They had a lot of discussion with the community that they built up, and that directly impacted on the game. So they actually did things that the fans asked for.
Yeah, and they had like a really good relationship with the backers. Like they made you feel like what you backed is what you got, but they also made you feel part of the development process. Where you look at Planetary Annihilation, like we spoke about, they really didn't. You look at Star Citizen. Now, what do? I guess they make you feel a little bit like you're part of it, but also.
Yeah,
they're kind of a harsh example. Well, not a harsh example for me to explain because they're just so complicated. But
yeah,
Divinity Original Sin was definitely one of the it was probably one of the best Kickstarters that's been done in terms of what you actually got was what they said they would give you, and then you got more.
Yeah, I at first when I did think when I saw the headline I was like, why are they doing that? They don't need to do that. Original Sin did ridiculously well. There's no way they need to. But the way they've actually explained it, the fact that they got so much out of it the first time.
Yeah.
And
it's like it's almost become part of their process now.
Yeah, it's part of the process now. And I quite like the fact that they have said, we've got an amount to start with. We've got money to make the game. We want to do more with it. We want your input. We want to involve you in the creation of the game like we did with the original.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing it this way. That kind of honesty goes a long way as well, because there are plenty of companies that could have a huge amount but still go to Kickstarter and not tell you, whereas they're just simply saying we can do more with it. We can also have the same relationship we had before for the first one, and it will improve the game and make it better. And everything, all the suggestions we took on board the first time helped make the game what it was, and we want to repeat that process again. At first I was like, bullshit. Now I'm actually okay with it, and it's not often I'm okay with established developers with established franchises going to the public and saying, help fund this when they could actually do it themselves. Because I'm sure they could do it themselves, but as you say, it's clearly a very effective part of the process for making a game in that franchise. So I think that is all we have for you this week. I've just noticed something. Just one last failure in the catalogue of horror that has been the start of this hotfix.
Imagine getting sent a catalogue of horror. What would be in such a
this
dossier?
Recording would be the hour preceding this. That's all it would be across all the. It would just be a transcript of all the stuff we talked about. I've noticed. I apologise, ladies and gentlemen. Even though the webcams are only in at 30 FPS, so was the desktop today as well, because I didn't switch it back to 60 after streaming Rocksmith the other day, which I believe also means that it's been downscaled to 720p. So I'm afraid the glorious 1080 option is missing in action. It could be worse. It could have been downscaled to like 480 or something, but it wasn't. So I would love to know.
144p. That is quality, blow.
144? Yeah, full screen on the monitor.
On a 50-inch monitor. Oh, I can see the pixels.
Here's a test for people who watch it all the way through. I want to know if you watch Hotfix at 1080p full screen. I want to know if you do it. And if you do it, I want to know why.
I do.
Get out.
I do. Oh, mate, I do.
All the way through, so you can hear yourself talk. Vain. Vanity.
No,
Disgraceful.
seriously, I watch back some of them for research purposes. Just so I can get my notepad out and make like little, like I'm in prison. We do the line, and the line. Every time Kiri says "all in all," whatever
do you
the
do
case.
It when you say chat?
No, you don't say that. Somebody else says that.
I never said that.
What else do you say? I don't really say chat. I haven't said it though. I've got that out of my mind. I've actually been pretty good today.
I only said essentially once today, and I stopped myself.
Yeah, but you say bear in mind a lot.
Yeah, but I think that's a thing though. That's actually
it is, but it's getting to the point of just pointless connective tissue, bloke.
Like
my blasted colon.
I thought, Christ, I thought that's a legitimate phrase.
It is a legitimate phrase, but it's not every fucking 10 seconds.
It's not that bad. You've made that up.
You go back and listen to this now.
No, I don't listen to them back.
Yeah, you do. All in all,
I actually haven't.
All in all, you're a cunt.
I haven't said that either. So, whatever, chat. Anyway, as always, you can support that way. Not that way, because the fucking webcam's mirrored. That way, if you want to. You can also support down there as well. If you do choose to support us between this hotfix and the next one, then you get a shout out of the next hotfix. And you should come back on Saturday at 2 p.m. BST. I think it's still BST. Yeah, it is.
BST?
For Mad Cow Disease. Then you should come back on Saturday at Mad Cow Disease time for the pubcast, which will... We didn't name the last one, by the way, so we need to remember to name it this time.
Terrific.
Whatever the case,
was after the fact.
Yeah. Whatever the case, we'll see you on Saturday.
Goodbye.